In this video, we will be exploring how to use a common household item, the simple rubber stamp, as a medium of artwork. We will very briefly explore the history of the stamp and how historically it was used for both practical purposes and as a piece of art. Stamps and seals have been used for centuries in different areas of the world to denote status, identification, ownership or belonging, and authentication as an artist's mark. Stamps are also used as postage, company logos, and for personal collections. The first image on the left is a Mesopotamian seal, which was used to create an impression on clay. It was a 3D object that was used to make a 2D image. The second image is on the right and is a typical method of creating an impression from a stamp. This image is a medieval European stamp, which was made by a flat mold being pressed into warm wax. There are many ways that we encounter stamps. The first two stamps we saw were historical ones, one from ancient times and the other was a medieval stamp. The first stamp on this frame is a Chinese seal, which was and continues to be highly significant to Chinese culture. But stamps do not have to be as serious as the ones we have seen. They can be a part of a movie or film sets, or part of a postage which we see every day. The stamps we will be using today to create our artwork are very simple rubber stamps typically used for crafts. Even something as simple as this can be turned into an artistic medium. In this part of the video, we will demonstrate a simple design to get you started on how to create artwork using stamps you have at home or ones that are easily found in stores. The first step is to draw out your design by pencil first. This is important to give yourself direction as you lay the stamps down so the image will be clear once you've finished applying your stamps. We have chosen a simple flower design. We encourage you to go simple first and then try more complicated designs. The second step is to choose your stamp icons carefully. The first two stamps we chose were different heart designs. One stamp has a lot of open space. This will be used for the flower petals in the front because the stamp will leave less ink on the page and with some open space. The second stamp is another heart shape but does not have as much open space and creates a darker impression. This will be used for the petals in the back for the shadows. The process is fairly simple. We went to the middle and worked our way around to the edges. The most important thing is that the edges should be darker than the center to give your petal value and shape. The manner in which you lay the stamps is not as important as you may need to go over the edges again so they're darker than the center. Finish this process with the other two front petals. To begin on the back petals, we switch the stamps to the darker one. The process is the same. Add more ink to the edges of the petal to give contrast from the back petals to the ones in the front. As you can see, this stamp leaves a darker impression since there is less open space and more areas that pick up ink. Next, we choose a different stamp for the center. Change the stamp icon to a contrasting shape to the stamp that you used in the petals. We chose one with words. This stamp leaves a darker impression than the heart stamps, which make the center of the flower stand out from the petals. Again, the edges should be darker than the center. By doing so, the center looks 3D because we are using value to keep the shape of the center of the flower. Of the stem. By using the key stamp in a curved line, we are using a different art element than the flower. Instead of filling the space in with ink like we did for the petals and the heart-shaped stamps, we create a line for the stem to give balance and harmony to the flower design. Here's what the flower will look like once we have all the stamps laid out. Here we will show some of our students' artwork, which applies the same principles that we used with the simple flower design. This artist is depicting the neck of a guitar, which is clearly shown because of the icons the stamps they used. Since the only way to show value using these rubber stamps is by knowing which stamps have more open space, which means they're lighter, and the ones who have less open space, which means they leave a darker impression. The student artist chose a thin stamp for the string and a darker, rounder stamp for the frets to contrast the thinner strings. This is also shown in the shadows as well as in the tuners. For this cup design, the student used a stamp to show both pattern and texture. The pattern at the top of the rim is very dark, which is in contrast to the smooth white porcelain. For this student, leaving white space was crucial to show the texture of the cup in contrast to the shadow and the other structural elements of the cup, such as the rim. This artwork stands out because of the stamp choice. Here for the car design, the student artist deliberately chose a recognizable stamp icon. The only time the artist did not use the stamp icon is in the wheels to match the shape of the rims. This creates harmony throughout the car design. This fashion design demonstrates pattern, as you can see in the polka dots. This was accomplished by leaving very specific white spaces. This level of detail would only be possible by drawing out and planning the design before placing the stamps. If the planning wasn't done, the pattern would not be legible, losing its effect. Perhaps the most complicated, this artist depicted a self-portrait using stamps. For this design, the artist student needed to use many different stamp icons in order to distinguish each parts of their face. In addition to choosing the right stamp shape for the right areas, the student needed to follow the shape and structure of the face. For example, the student needed to use a bunny shape, or they chose to use a bunny shape, but the importance is that they followed the direction of the hair, which was important to capture its texture. Another important area is in the eye. The artist used a thin icon for the eyelashes to outline the shape of the eye, and used a round and dark stamp for the pupil. They also left a very small highlight to give the eye dimension and illusion of light. These artworks show that even the simple rubber stamp, which is often used for crafts, signing postcards, postage, or movie props, can create complicated and intricate artworks. Hope you enjoyed this video learning how a household object can create beautiful pieces of art. Until next time.